Welcome to Fly on the Wall podcast. I'm your host, Chris Sonkson, CEO and founder of Church Boom. Here you get to sit in on a live coaching session as I coach pastors through the ministry challenges we all face. If you find this podcast helpful, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hey, today we're talking with my friend Tom Fields from Washington. We're talking about how to deal with difficult conversations. We all have to deal with them. What's the best way to deal with them? Before we jump into it, make sure to check out churchboom.org. We got a lot there to offer, but I really want you to check out the Church Boom Network. Everybody needs a tribe. We are not meant to do church alone, and I want to encourage you to check that out and become part of it. You will love it. There's a small little group that meets together. You'll be in a group of 8 or 9 that meet together every month on Zoom. We come together in person to learn, to grow, to hang out together. It is an incredible tribe to belong to, and whether you belong to a denomination or you're non-denominational, doesn't matter. Being a part of the Church Boom Network could add so much value to your life. So make sure that you check that out today. But hey, let's jump into the conversation now with my good friend Tom. I think you're going to love this one. Let's jump into it, man. Let's dive into this coaching conversation. How can I serve you today?
What's
on your mind,
man? And you know, I'm sitting here in my shop, and it's funny because it's called Fly on the Wall. So if you see a fly go across here, that's just, we've orchestrated that all for you.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot of flies in garages. All right.
Getting right. Yeah, no kidding. It's that season. We've had a recent hatch. Here they are out here on the farm. There's a bunch of them.
A recent hatch.
But hey, helping people through their stuff and coaching and leading people, you know, it's like everybody has challenging times, and whether you're coaching someone through it, you know, leading them through a challenging time, or maybe dealing with a challenging time yourself, what is the best way, and what are some keys to help keep our heads right, stay away from artificial harmony? You know, how do we recognize it in others and help them, you know, guide them through it? How do we protect ourselves in that moment? You know, help me with thinking right and leading people through it.
And you're talking about leading people through just people. First of all, you're talking about people, you're talking about leaders. And then secondly, about challenges, just general challenges in their life or in their ministry. Yeah.
Leadership, you know, challenges, you know, whether they're having marriage issues, you know, because, I think you said that when the enemy comes, he doesn't attack the mass, he attacks the leaders.
Yeah.
And so, you know, marriage conflicts, financial issues, physical, you know, upheaval, you know, all kinds of storms in your leaders. Let's just talk about our leaders. How do we help our leaders? And maybe even if you are a leader and you're going through it, how do you protect your head, keep your heart right, don't move into artificial harmony, you know, not be distracted? What are some keys? How can we help?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And the reality is leaders are always facing challenges. You're facing challenges at home, you're facing challenges in ministry. A lot of us face challenges with our own insecurity, our own doubt, our own lack of confidence.
Yeah.
There's always challenges that are going on. And we live in a world now of a lot of discussion of mental health, emotional health, which I believe is real. And it's really there. I do know that for a couple things. Number one, when people get out of balance in their life, I think that creates part of the problem. And when people get out of balance, I said recently on a different podcast, another episode, that when people get out of balance, people always ask me, like, how do you keep your life in balance? You got so much going on. How do you keep your life in balance? I've come down to the fact that it's not about balance. It's about obedience.
Oh, good.
You keep talking about balance, like a person tells me, balance. I'm like, dude, you're talking about a balance. You need to talk about obedience. That's really where the issue is. Well, you know, instead of date your wife and take a day off and do all that, you know, which is important, don't get me wrong, but those are all practical and those are all the same thing everybody says. But the reality is a lot of that comes down to obedience. Like, am I keeping my life right? Am I keeping my marriage right? Keeping my family right? Am I working? Is my work ethics proper at the church? Is my am I doing the right things for me personally? Am I doing the right things for me emotionally? Am I taking a sabbatical? Like all the things that we all kind of, how do you keep life in balance? We put it under the umbrella of balance. When in most of it, not all of it, but most of it, I put it under the umbrella of obedience. Like, well, I'm not taking a sabbatical. Well, no, your life's not out of balance. You're not being obedient.
Very good.
And I think a lot of it comes down to that. And once we realize that that is part of the major issue, we need to do our job to help us stay there. But you as a lead pastor, you got a great church, big church, a lot of staff. It's our job as the leaders of the leaders to say, hey, man, I've got to help you make sure that your life is in balance by coming to that obedience. I got to make sure that you are keeping things right at home. I got to make sure that, if you need some coaching, if you need some help in ministry, if you need counseling, we got that for you. And I think we have to fight to keep people moving in the right direction, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and all that. We have to fight for that.
Yeah, we do. Well, I don't know about you, but I do.
I got to fight to stay there.
I can't remember. It's really good what you're saying, because I can't remember who said it. Like, I don't know, a long time ago. But the human mind cannot comprehend God's response to one act of obedience, and that obedience thing is so important. When you see when you see something in a leader, and it's setting off an alarm in you,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, maybe they're not ready to admit it, or maybe they're blind to it. What are some effective ways you found to engage that convo? Because sometimes I want to be a well that I can be drawn from. I don't want to be a geyser they run from.
Yep.
And I don't want to waterboard them, but I want to give them help and insight, because I can see stuff that maybe especially younger leaders, they just don't see it coming.
Yep.
And it's like, what are some ways to engage that conversation?
Yeah, that's a great question, because often it is a blind spot, and that's really difficult because they don't see it. Now, what you got to spend time trying to convince them they have a problem, and that becomes a challenge all into itself. When I'm dealing with conflict, Tom, one of the things, I say conflict, maybe that's not the right word, but when I'm dealing with a challenging conversation, sometimes that's conflict. Sometimes it's, dude, I got to call you out because, man, you are not, your attitude lately is stinks, or whatever, or what you're talking about, like, hey, there's some blind spots, whatever. Couple different approaches. First is I try to find the evidence of the problem. And so let's role play. Like, let's say you're on my team and I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
I try to find the evidence of the problem. So I might say, man, it just lately seems like your fuse has been fairly short. Man, last week in staff, a couple more weeks ago, I saw this. And here's the thing that I think is so important. And then I always say I'll say, do about 30 seconds on that. And I'll say, man, Tom, here's kind of what I'm seeing and I'm kind of feeling. And can you speak into that for me? My favorite phrase when I'm in a difficult conversation or a confronting conversation, whatever you want to call it, is, can you speak into that for me? Now, here's why that's so important. When I sit, let's say we just sat down and we know we're going to have a conversation. You know it, I know it. It doesn't take me 5 minutes to get to that. It probably takes me less than 45 seconds to get to that. I immediately hit the ball over to you like a pickleball as fast as I can. I'm like, can you speak into that for me? I had to do that a while back, and I said to someone, hey, here's kind of what I'm noticing. Here's what's happening. It's, the fuse is short. You're kind of saying stuff. It doesn't seem like you. Can you speak into that for me? Seems like you're having more conflict than you normally do. Can you speak into that? He unloaded for about 10 minutes. Well, I don't know, man. I guess you're right. Probably lately it kind of feels like that, and went on and on. Then in the middle of it, Tommy's like, yeah, I kind of feel like I have sometimes I don't know, bad attitude. And then he went on a little more, and then he stopped, and then now my turn. And then I said, okay, you said the phrase bad attitude. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Now, then he pours out even more. What's happening is, without him even knowing it, he's sharing with me the problem. And now that puts me into a position where I am helping to solve a problem he said he had.
That's good.
Once you get to that point, the entire tone of the conversation changes.
Yeah.
If you can somehow maneuver yourself to a point where they're saying they have the problem, you're now saying, look, Tom, I'm not saying you have an attitude problem. You said you have an attitude problem. How do we resolve that together? Now we're resolving a problem you admitted to. That's so really important. Good. Yeah, if you can get to that, it has. Years ago, I learned that from my personal coach. I have two coaches, had them for years. Years ago, I learned that from my personal coach. Absolutely changed difficult conversations for the rest of my life. It's just changed everything. I mean, I feel like, 9 times out of 10, you come out winning. It works because it removes the defense.
Yeah, that's really, really good. And we've learned that when people seek counsel, it is counsel. When you offer counsel, it's just your opinion, and they don't receive it. And it's like, I love that. So if what I'm hearing you say is correct, it's like, hey, don't waste a lot of time. Get to the problem.
Yes.
Address the issue, and then give them space to bring it from their perspective to where they're actually seeking the counsel that you can offer, and they'll receive it.
That's right. Get right to the point. Let them respond. Keep your antenna up, because you're looking for something in their response that you can build off of. The word bad attitude. So I let the guy keep talking. Then I say, okay, can we back up just a couple minutes? You said the word, just for the last 10 minutes, you shared all this, and I appreciate it. But you said the word bad attitude. Can you expand on that a little bit? Talk a little bit about that? And then he just keeps telling me more. And then finally, when we get to the root of it, I'm like, okay, you're telling me you got this issue. How do we resolve it?
That's very good. I love it.
Yeah, it really works.
And we all, and because we have leaders we care about, but everybody, has life challenges, and we've had easy things to the difficult, right? And just devastating divorce or whatever. And it's like leading them through it. And, I just thought that it would really be great, especially if the leader himself, let's address it from the spot where you're the key leader. Nobody on your team knows you have an issue that's about ready to, hand you your hiney.
Yeah.
What should they do?
Oh, well, if you're the leader, prior to even that, I think it's important that you have a couple different people in your life. So I always say, like when I tell people, get a coach, they always go, yeah, I got this brother, Pastor Tom or Joe or Bob or whoever in some other city. And I'm like, yeah, he's a great spiritual leader for you, but he doesn't know a thing about growing a church. So he's not your coach. So I tell people all the time, like, I have 3 ultimate coaches in my life, Sam Chan and Dan Ryland. For me, I choose that. Now, they're my ministry coach. One is really good on leadership, and one is good on organizational structure. And so I use both of them. Then I have a third coach named Eddie. He's not about church growth. He's not about organizational development. He's my spiritual coach. He's the guy that I can be brutally honest with, and no matter what, he's still going to love me. So if you don't have someone in which you can trust, that you can be brutally honest with, I actually think you're setting yourself up for that failure.
Yeah.
You got to have someone.
Well, and I think what you just said is so vital. It's, I'm surrounded with younger guys coming up in ministry. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm surrounded by younger guys.
That's because the older
But
we get,
oh,
everybody's younger.
hey, don't bring up the older thing, okay? But we're surrounded with up and comers, and they're gonna be world changers. But
Yep.
it's like what you just said, and it's a little off my topic, but I think it's worth us really discussing, because it's like, hey, yeah, you really do need coaching. Like,
Right.
anybody that's doing anything great in life is inviting correction, right?
That's correct.
And so it's like, okay, so you need coaching. But then when it gets to that personal area, it's like, I think that's the one. uh it's hard to get people to go for coaching.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get them to embrace, hey, you need a personal coach, you need a life coach, you need somebody that's you brother was born for adversity. Like, you need somebody whose destiny is saving your bacon.
Yes,
And
100%.
how do you what are some of the ways, like yours is Eddie, how did you develop that relationship? How did you build that uh, intimacy where you had the freedom to be totally transparent? Like, he knows things nobody else in the world knows. How did you build that relationship?
Yeah. Well, I can only speak to, you're asking me the question, how it built mine. I've known him for a long, long time. I didn't grow up in a Christian home. I got saved in a youth group, and he was sort of a youth leader type guy. And I've just known him for years and years and years. He's someone that, and this is a good point, he's someone that is outside of my world.
Yeah.
I think that's an important part, Tom. Personally, they're outside of the world. They're not involved emotionally. They don't go to the church that I lead. They're leaders at my level, or your level or whatever. But I've known him a long time. He's proven he can be trustworthy, because I've seen his life for years to be trustworthy. And here's another thing. He's one of the very few people, which this is kind of the same but a little different. I always ask people, how many friends do you have? I got 5,000 on Facebook. How many friends? I've got probably only 15 friends. Okay, now narrow it down even more. Here's one. Who celebrates with you without getting insecure?
Yeah.
Now, that just went from 15 to one or two.
Yeah.
Eddie's one of those guys. If I called him and told him I won $1 million, $10 million, he'd genuinely celebrate with me. If I told him my book went number one when his book didn't, he'd celebrate with me. And so I know he loves me. I know he has my heart. I've known him for a long time. He's proven himself to be trustworthy. He lives outside of my circle, and I think that's an important part as well. That's for me. I think you have to have those people in your life, but I do think they have to live somewhat outside of your circle. They don't go to the same church. They're not a board member at your church. They're just someone on the outside that, I can say anything to that guy. Stuff that, whatever. I can get really mad and say, drop all sorts of, like, get really mad. That's stupid. Start getting upset. And he's just like, just listens. Okay, well, let's talk about it. He doesn't judge me. And I just think you need those people.
Yeah. I think that's crazy how many try to live without that relationship.
Yep.
And how much damage comes when you don't have it. And like somebody, at least, and again, just kind of repeating what you said, if I heard you right, it's like somebody who's, at least they're not on the payroll, right? and uh, and their response to you is not going to determine their future with you. And
Yep. That's it.
finding that person
Good point.
is so vital, because like, again, going back to what you've said in the past, is that when the enemy takes a shot, it's not at the congregation, it's at the leadership.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and us helping people prepare for that and make it through the challenging moments, I think is crucial.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. What you just pointed out, I thought was incredible. They're not on the payroll, and their response to me does not at all dictate their future.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you say to me. You can, verbally just be like, "What are you thinking?" And what you can say whatever you want, and you get in my face, because it's not gonna make any difference to your financial life. You're just being that person in my life. And that's a really important part as well. It doesn't
Yeah.
dictate their future at all.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So,
Well, and
yeah,
I think we invite a lot of people in, but then it's dangerous for them, right? Like like if they told us the truth, it might cost them their relationship with us or something. And it's like
yeah,
finding that person
right.
and the individual who's they're not risking anything to tell you the truth. They can love you enough to wound you, right? I
Hmm.
think the Bible says something about that too. But you know, uh, but you know, it's like, oh my gosh, because a lot of people will tell us whatever they need to, based on their own insecurity, right?
Sure.
And we can't settle for that.
Right. Right. Nope. You're right. 100%. So yeah, that's how, and I think you got to encourage your team and your people. Look, I can't be that guy for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But you do have to find that guy. I'm not that guy. It's got to be out of your circle. It's got to be
Yeah,
not someone that holds the future in their hands. It's just someone on the outside that you can talk about me to them because it's trustworthy. Oh man, Pastor Tom really frustrated me and I don't know how to handle it because he's going to give you the right feedback. And it only, honestly, as leaders at our level, it only makes our life better and
exactly.
easier if they
Yeah,
have those people because they're going to get frustrated with us and want to say something. But if they have someone that they can go to, say whatever they want, and that person can be like, okay, you need to really watch your heart. We love that, because
yeah.
they're having the right conversations with people that are not in our circle that they trust, that we trust, and that are only going to point them in the right direction.
Yeah.
That only benefits the kingdom, them, and us.
Yeah, and we might throw in here too is that, hey, if you're listening to this and you go, oh, I need to find that guy, make sure he's godly or she or whoever.
Yeah, yeah, that
It's
would
like,
help.
yeah, yeah. But I too, uh, if I'm hearing right, I think it might be important to make certain that the person that you're developing, one, that they're not on your payroll, but they're not on your team as well, right?
Right?
Carrying your offenses into everything else they do.
Yes.
And it's like just having somebody that is aware of God, in alignment with the ways of God, and cares about you as a person enough to be honest. And
Yep.
but that's the relationship I think is really worth building that I think a
Yep.
lot of us might have neglected to build.
Yep. 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 100%. Couldn't agree more. And I think we need to have it. I think we need to encourage our teams to have it. You got to
Yeah.
have that person that's outside of the world, and you can say whatever you want to, and they're always going to point you in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, I think going back to other things that you've said in the past that have really helped me is like I can't expect my team to have something I haven't modeled.
That's right.
And it's like, okay, so I need it. I need to build it. Then I need to teach them how to build it,
That's right.
right?
Yep.
Because they can't do what they don't know.
That's right. That's right. 100%. We have to, if we're lead pastors or leaders of an organization, we have to model that. We can't say, hey, you need this in your life, and we don't have it in our life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's good, man. That's really good. What
Awesome.
else
Hey,
you got?
I appreciate
Anything
that.
else?
Yeah. Hey, again, it sounds like it's down the same track, but it's not really. But okay, so different leaders, team department heads, whatever, they set off. They launch an initiative, a program, and it fails. Okay, so failure is just part of the process. We get it, but helping people deal with failure as a positive rather than allowing failure to become a defining moment, like it's not them. uh what are some great key thoughts, because everybody's going to fail, honestly, if they're not failing, they're probably not doing enough.
Right.
but
100%.
but everybody's afraid of failing, right?
Yep.
So how can we package this fail? Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the way to encourage it and help them through the failure so it doesn't define their future?
Yeah. So I love it. It definitely should not define their future. I mean, just like I've said so many times to my team, like, look, man, you got to have some failures on your list, or I'm just not sure if you're trying enough.
Yeah.
Just like you said, and I literally say, like, you better have a couple on your list. But one thing is that I help people with is you got to be failing. It's going to happen every now and again. If you're not doing it, you're not taking the risk, like you said. I think defining, not letting failure define you, I think that's an important thing. But one thing I've helped people with in the failure, but also combination of failure and combination of like doing something big for the Lord and they're not sure how it's going to work out, which is kind of the same thing. I do this a lot with lead pastors. Two things I always tell them, Tom, is you have to have, let's say you were like, man, I'm going to hire two people. I really can't afford those people, or we're going to build this building. We're going to do this thing. We're going to do A, B, or C, whatever it is. And the two things I always ask is, okay, what is the calculated risk and what is the acceptable loss?
Good.
Before you even do this thing. So mentally, you're okay with this calculated risk. Okay, you calculate it like, okay, this is what the risk is. This is what it will cost. This is what it could look like. This is what it could do. This is the good it could do. This is the bad it could do if it doesn't work out. And then the big one is not only calculated risk, but acceptable loss.
Yeah.
And what does that acceptable loss look like? And so I was helping a pastor with this recently because he was saying, hey, man, I want to hire this. I want to make these moves, and it's going to cost and all that. And he goes, and every time that we do something like that, every month, he's telling me in the past, he goes, I get together with my board and I get together with my key leaders and they're like, oh my gosh, we're bleeding financially. We're bleeding financially. We're bleeding financially. So I tell them, I go, okay, don't ever do that again. Have an acceptable loss. So role playing here, you tell the board, hey, we're going to make these moves. We've got, a lot of money in the bank. We're going to make these moves. It's probably going to cost us about $7,000 a month. I think by the end of the year, it'll be about $2,000 a month. And then by the end of that year, we'll be break even. I'm just making this up, whatever. So grand total, that's $125,000 loss. We're not going to talk about loss at all until we're approaching the 125 mark. So when we're $14,000 loss, $26,000 loss, we've all agreed that's an acceptable loss. Yeah. So we don't need to bring it up. We don't need to get all worked up about it. And if we get there and realize, wow, it didn't work, we cut the ties because we predetermined what the acceptable loss is. So we're not wound up with failure because we've already resolved the fact that this is a calculated risk with an acceptable loss.
I love that.
And don't bring it up again. We don't need to talk about it again. We're just going to cut the cord at 125,000. Yeah. And once we get there, we cut it, and we're all okay with it, right? Yep, we're all okay. Now let's move forward. And we don't need to talk about it every week. Yeah, it helps a lot because then I think it helps with staff to be like, okay, what's your calculated risk? What's your acceptable loss? Let's all agree upon it. You're agreeing with a staff member. Okay, let's go for it. Have you calculated what you need to do, the risk and all of that, and have you had the acceptable loss? I'm not going to be mad at you, and you don't need to be mad because we've accepted in advance. This is okay. Once we hit that, we're done. We're going to cut the cord.
Yeah. One of the things I really love about that is, we're I don't know, we're constantly training for success, right? Preparing for success.
Yeah.
But not everything or everyone succeeds,
Right.
But almost everyone and dang near everything can fail, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I think preparing for that possible failure, which is a very legitimate reality, is so healthy. I love how you said that. Okay, like there's an acceptable loss. Let's set that and let's determine that, and then let's not focus on that until we reach that. That's so helpful.
Yeah. Yep. And then if you reach it, okay, then you got to cut the cord on it.
Oh well. Yeah.
Oh, well, no big deal. We'll try something else. But you didn't get all worked up over it because you predetermined where you would draw the line on an acceptable loss.
Yeah. And I think too, leaders and leading teams and helping teams, because every team's going to struggle with failures. And if they've watched us do the same thing, it'll just be, it's kind of like going back and saying, okay, we need to model it. And it's like so good for our teams.
Yeah. Well, awesome, man. Anything else today?
I got one more. You got time?
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's talk about creating the invite culture, but keeping it top of priority for everybody. Uh, really, because one of the things I've noticed is that when we're on it, everybody's in it. If you back off of it for a month,
Yep.
you got to start over again.
Yep. Yep. Well, I say that a lot. You push a rock uphill and decide to take a break, the rock doesn't.
Yeah.
It'll always roll right back over you, and everything you want in life is waiting for you on the other side of consistency. And I tell people when it comes to like leadership circles or when it comes to invite culture, if you're not going to be consistent, don't bother, because you're changing a dynamic that has to have consistency. Don't bother if you're not going to fix it. So, one of the simple things is you've probably seen it. I do that thing called box and baton. Inside of
Yeah.
that box is invite culture. Someone has to own that. What doesn't get identified gets ignored. So someone has to own it and just say, look, part of my job is this box one, let's just say, or whatever. Part of that job is invite culture. My job is to keep stories creatively in front of people. My job is to make sure that those that bring first-time guests are getting a phone call that week saying, hey, thanks for bringing guests. You're awesome. I love that you did that. Everybody follows up on the guests. No one follows up on the people that brought them, which doesn't make any sense. But then they do that. So someone has to own that. And again, maybe you've got the right person owning it or not, because the invite culture, the telling the stories, the applauding people that brought, a friend, your ringing of the bell in the lobby, by the way,
Yeah.
I just talked about that on a podcast recently and gave that away. All of that stuff, someone has to make sure that culture is being created.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't get attention, it always drifts. It always does. And someone's got to own it and be like, that's my job. I have a job at the church. One of my jobs is we're averaging X amount of guests. I'm going to try to get that to X amount. And here's how I'm going to do that. And I'm going to stay on that until we get there. And
That's good.
if someone doesn't own it, if it's just like, who's got a story? Are we telling it? Who's what? Oh, you got one. Can you get him to video? Can you video that? It's not going to work. What doesn't get identified gets ignored. And so you got to identify, this is a problem. This is how we're going to fix that problem. But you got to get someone to own it. You have to have someone, like in my world, we call that story curator. But that curator is completely in charge of telling stories and assuring that culture is changing when it comes to invite.
I like that. Yeah. What gets ignored moves away.
Yep.
And the story
100%.
curator. Now, do you have someone that is their sole role, or is that a role in their job description?
Well, the bigger the church gets or the ministry gets, the more it becomes their sole role.
Yeah.
If I think the church is 1,000 or less, 1,200 or less, it's probably going to be one of their roles. If the church is running 5,000, 10,000, they're probably doing nothing but creating stories.
Yeah.
And that's what, they've got the finances and the budget for that. But so I would say that is part of their role. But in the box and baton, if you put a person over every box, that invite culture lives inside of that box. So that person's going to oversee the box. Doesn't mean, let's say I oversaw the box for you. I don't know the first thing about putting together videos and all that stuff, but I'm going to find the person that can do it.
Sure.
And I'm going to make sure we have live interviews every other week. We've got videos every other week, and we are pushing that invite culture. And I'm going to make sure that the person announcing it is saying, man, if you brought someone today, let us know. I'm going to make sure that gets said. Like, I am going to make sure that all of that's happening, because I know we're averaging 12 and I'm trying to get it to 18 first time guests per Sunday or whatever the number is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say and for most churches, it's going to be part of the person's job.
Yeah. And I think too, like it might be important to get that in a box, because I love the box and batons. Get that in a box, and like the senior guy might participate, but that can't be his role.
No, cannot. And nope, it cannot be his role. No doubt about it. He can help oversee the boxes, the people over the boxes. Like there's 3 boxes, and And those three kind of answer to him, and they all kind of are strategy. I call it SLT, strategy leadership team together. Great, awesome, love it. But no, he can't oversee that. I do think the pastor needs to say in the staff meeting, let's say that Tina is the person collecting stories, whatever, or overseeing that. I think the pastor needs to say stuff like this in a staff meeting. Okay, what did we hear this week, you guys, this past Sunday, that supports the mission of bringing people to church? Oh, man, this couple in our children's department, they've been serving for 3 months. They've been going to church for 9 months. I talked to them in the hallway, and man, they, you know how they got here? You know that one couple? Yeah, they're both their kids playing the soccer league together. That's how they got here. Tina, she's making a mad dash towards that staff member that just mentioned that after the service and going, okay, how do I get that story? Because she's just collecting stories. You can help foster the collection of the stories.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Everybody hears something on Sunday, but no one ever asks. Literally, if you start doing it over and over, it's like, well, that one guy mentioned, oh, yeah, I was talking to this one. Like, we're hearing stuff, but no one's like pulling it out of us.
Right.
But if you say in a staff meeting, hey, what did we hear? And they get in the habit, first few times, you won't get a lot out of it. But by month 2, month 3, hey, guys, what did you hear this week that supports the mission of bringing people to this church and our invite culture? Oh, I heard this. Okay, now we start collecting. And when you're telling stories, always make sure you get 3 months in advance, because you'll fall behind. And it'll be like, Grandma got sick, Tina was out on vacation. Yeah, it's been 2 months, but we're going to get back to it. Well, the rock just went to the bottom of the hill again. Yeah. You got to get 3 months in advance. Then you start dumping the stories, and you're always 3 months in advance.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great insight, bro.
Yeah, that'll help a lot, because you don't want to have 2 months and it just doesn't work. Yeah, we did great 2 months and then not 2 months. It's like, get 3 months ahead. We call it putting in the can. Put 3 months of stories in the can, then start releasing them. And now you're always working 3 months ahead. You're always like, if you're in June, you're working on September.
That is huge.
Yeah. So that'll help.
Yeah.
All right, man. Really yeah. Hey, dude, these are great questions. Thanks so much.
Hey, I love you. Appreciate you.
You too. Love you so much. Appreciate you. Yeah, you too, man. I appreciate you. And man, you love your church, and your heart to, or your partnership means a lot to me. It really does. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, buddy. Have a good day, Tom. We'll talk to you soon.
You too, man.
Okay, see you, buddy. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for checking out the conversation with Tom. I hope you got a lot out of it. There was so much great stuff that we talked about. I want to remind you as well to check out churchboom.org and click the tab that talks about the Church Boom Network. Everybody needs to belong to a tribe, whether you're in a denomination or non-denominational. We would love for you to be a part of the Church Boom Network tribe. It's a group of pastors. We meet in smaller groups on Zoom once a month. We come together once a year in person, and we're growing together. We're all moving in the same direction together. Everybody needs a tribe, and this could be the tribe for you. So check out churchboom.org and check out the Church Boom Network. And we will see you next time on the Fly on the Wall podcast.